Hello everyone, Thomas from Medieval Review here, and I wanted to do a quick channel update to give you some insight into how my channel is going to be changing over the next couple of months, as well as taking a chance to catch up a bit because I've been doing a lot of videos that are off my normal kind of standard practice, and while I want to get back to some of them, I want to give you a sneak peek of some of what is to come over the next few months. So I'm really looking forward to a lot of the reviews that I have lined up. But first, kind of just to get down to business with the channel update, as many of you are probably well aware, channels such as mine have taken a pretty big hit from some of the changes in YouTube advertising, etc. While many of my peers really are taking a very massive hit, from my standpoint, I've never really put a lot of stock into my channel as a method of making money. It helps. Certainly, it's nice to have that little bit of ad revenue coming in. But honestly, I've never broken even on this channel. Pretty much everything I've ever made from ad revenue has honestly gone right back into the channel. And even simple things like my Cass Iberia video that I did where I did the tour of the warehouse, there were travel expenses with that, and those easily eat up months worth of ad revenue. So there's really not a lot of motivation from a financial aspect for me to really focus on what happens with ads on YouTube. However, it is worth noting that the ad revenue changes are definitely apparent. I've seen a massive decline in ad revenue, and so I'm going to begin turning more towards Patreon as a method to try to kind of regenerate some revenue through this channel. Again, while it's not necessarily a prerequisite for me doing what I do here, it certainly helps, and it goes a long way for me to continue trying to produce good videos. And also, to the end, my channel will actually be changing a bit as well. I feel like a lot of what I do is really focused on high quality videos, and there's a lot of effort that goes into that, a lot of production value, a lot of time spent. So for every minute of a video on screen, I'm easily putting in multiple minutes worth of effort. It can take me an entire Saturday of shoots and reshoots and making some edits and all type of stuff to produce one video. And that certainly takes up a lot of time. So I'm going to try to begin turning my attention a little bit more towards some easier, low fidelity videos. That is, things much like this, where I just stand in front of a camera and talk. Now, channels such as mine have been doing this for a while, and I actually, honestly, I don't have a real strong interest in kind of rehashing the same topics that have been covered over and over and over again. So it'll certainly be topics that I really want to talk about, and I hope that it's not a repeat or rehash of things that have been talked about before. And to that extent, it's very, very possible, in fact, I would say it's extremely likely that there will be videos that will come out that will actually have less to do with the Middle Ages. And those will, of course, be just like any standard video. I will start sectioning off my channel into some different scenarios, but I have a feeling this means my channel will actually change away from the strict medieval focus and become a little bit more broad. The branding of my channel may focus less on the whole medieval review thing and move more towards a branding of myself and what my interests are, because I do have interests outside of just the Middle Ages, although it takes up a lot of my time. So expect to see some changes there, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be looking more towards Patreon to help support in terms of revenue. What this actually means realistically is that I'm going to change my standard a bit on Patreon. People who subscribe, or people who are patrons, subscribing isn't really the right word, but people who are patrons through Patreon, they're going to get access to my higher quality videos, my reviews, my documentaries, etc. a week early. That's all it's going to be, just a week early. So they get in, they get a seat a week earlier than everyone else, and their comments will obviously be the first on the videos, and I'll be able to respond to them a lot easier. So if you want to get in early on the videos, go to Patreon. It's, you can do just a very minimal amount. However, I will never actually restrict any content fully to Patreon. I think that kind of goes against the spirit of what I'm trying to do with this channel. So if you can't afford to do Patreon, and I understand that, or you just don't want to, that's cool as well. You'll get the videos nonetheless. It'll just be a little bit later. But to that end, I wanted to actually speak to some of the items that I'm going to be doing reviews of in no particular order, because I haven't really finally set the order. But thankfully, I've got some really interesting things, and that's in part to a viewer, Corey. That's all I'm going to say. His name is Corey, and he has graciously provided me with many, many weapons that he has shipped to me. Now, this was something of a test on my part to see like what it would cost in order to do that kind of transaction of someone sending me a weapon and then me sending it back. Honestly, there's expenses involved with that. I don't know that it's something that I can sustain right now. Corey was gracious enough to work with me on some of this. But I want to show you some of what he sent me and some of what reviews will be coming. The first one I'd like to talk about is an Arms and Armor Italian pole hammer. It's a war hammer, but it's a really big one. Look how long this pole is. It's really super long. But I've had this for a little while. In fact, I've had this in my hands since before I did the Sword Dynamics video. I just haven't had a chance to do the review of it, so that will be coming soon. And I'm really looking forward to doing that review. Additionally, Corey sent me something very similar in terms of pole-ish weapons, but this one is a Danish war axe. And again, this is from Arms and Armor. And again, I'm really looking forward to reviewing this one because I have not had a chance to do a lot of Arms and Armor style weapons, and certainly I have not done enough weapons that were just outside swords, because the swords have made up a vast majority of my reviews. So keep an eye out for the Danish war axe. The next thing that Corey sent me, and it's quite ridiculous at this point, right? This person has entrusted me with quite a lot of weaponry here. And unfortunately, I do have to send it back. But he also sent me this Lockwood longsword. And it is brand spanking new. And I haven't done unboxings for all these things because, well, quite honestly, I ran out of time to do things like unboxings recently. So I just went ahead and unboxed all these things that he sent me. And I am, again, really looking forward to this review. This will be my first Lockwood sword that I will have gotten time to spend with it, so I'm looking forward to that. And again, keep an eye out for that review. And believe it or not, there's actually a fourth item that Corey is sending me, although I don't have it in my hands yet. So that will be 4 videos thanks to a very, very generous viewer. And certainly, Corey, thank you so much for sending these along. I will go ahead and note here, for the time being, again, I am not going to be taking any more weapons on from anyone else to do reviews for the time being. It's a lot of work on my part, and honestly, having someone else's property is a little bit harrowing. I don't like holding on to something that I feel like I'm very, very responsible for. So I have to figure out how all that will work if I ever do more of that in the future. All that said, there are actually some other things that I have picked up, but for the purposes of review, this one is one that I got fairly recently. Now, this is a windlass, but it is one of those create-your-own swords. So I made this interesting arming sword with a Brazil nut pommel. I'll be honest, I kind of based it off of a Game of Thrones sword. It's one of, the Starks, not Jon, the other Stark, had a sword very similar to this, and I was like, I've always wanted a good Brazil nut pommel style sword, so I went ahead and picked this one up. But the reason I actually picked this up was I was going to use this sword to then transition out of just strictly medieval European swords in my reviews and move more towards some other type of weaponry. So this is a create your own. I chose my options and I had it made. And likewise, this sword has sat in the background of my armory for a very long time. But this is a custom katana that I had made. And I have yet to review this thing, believe it or not. In fact, I've held on to this for so long because I wanted to review this katana by reviewing it alongside another custom style sword, because it's choosing my own options. And it was a kind of a way to make a transition into me reviewing swords that I'm not really used to reviewing, and certainly don't necessarily fall under quite as much of my expertise. But I'm looking forward to all these reviews, and it's a lot of reviews that are coming up. So it'll be quite a few months before these things begin to hit YouTube, and certainly, like I said, there are other videos I'm going to want to do. At the same time, I can't speak to the speed at which these are going to come out, because I've got a lot of personal stuff I just got to get through, a lot of travel still in my future, and honestly, there are just some weekends where I am exhausted. I've been working a full week, and I don't want to spend my entire Saturday doing a video. So it's going to be kind of up in the air. I'm trying to produce these as regularly as possible, but as I noted, it's difficult. It takes a lot of time to produce these high-quality videos, and I don't want to ever retract back and do reviews where I stand here in front of the camera and never show a lot of really interesting angles and shots of the sword, or whatever it may be, a warhammer or a war axe. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to try to get this stuff out, and again, I'm going to turn more towards Patreon as a way of helping to support my channel. As always, I will note, thank you a huge amount to all the subscribers out there. The channel continues to grow. It does so at a very slow rate these days. So I will ask to those of you who do watch my videos, please like, share. That's really actually vital. What I have found in the analytics of my videos is that honestly, they don't get shared a lot. They don't get a lot of views. And because of that, they tend to begin to fall lower and lower on search rankings. And eventually, they just don't get a lot of views outside of just pure subscriber base. So certainly feel free to share the videos. I don't do a lot of sharing myself. I usually just post on the channel and on the Facebook page. End of the day, I'm really, really reliant on you, my subscriber base, my viewer base, even maybe my fan base, to really begin to help me continue to grow this channel, because it is beginning not so much to stagnate, but certainly to plateau in terms of growth. And I'd like to see it grow a little bit more. It's always very helpful, and I always want to make sure that I'm being an active participant in the sword collecting community, and that I'm actually providing value. And one of the ways I know that I am is that people do watch my videos and people do subscribe, but I'd like to know that other people are getting the information. So that's it. That's my channel update and my sneak peeks. I hope that we have a lot of interesting things to come in the future. I hope all of you enjoy it, and certainly I will see you in those future videos. Cheers, everyone.